Today we're going to be working on a Hitachi excavator. It's a different type. It's a ZX40UR. That's what it says anyways. It's kind of got an offset boom. It's definitely different than most. For a small tractor, you can kind of find a few of these out there. Kind of made my own attachment here. My own quick release bar. I got this made. Some of the controls in it. Hopefully you can see that. Some rubber tracks. What we're gonna do today is change the oil on it. So hopefully you can see that all right. We got our dipstick right here. And then we got our oil filter. It's really cool. They got a little drip pan underneath there. Hopefully you can see that. Dipstick, oil filter, and then down underneath the oil filter is a drain pan. So when you take off the oil filter, it drains into that. It's really cool. And it goes down this little pipe. That is right there. So the oil comes out right here. Drains from that guy. Got a little rest going on up there. And you take this guy off right here later. Check the either this one or it's this plate. It has the pilot valve, and I'm trying to figure out, because there's not very much information on this ZX40UR that I can find online. Like, I can't even get a parts manual. It's crazy. So if you guys know of a parts manual for this one, it's a 2010. That's the information on it. It says 2010. It's definitely not a one made in America, but man, I've put over 300 hours on this girl. So I'll show you what. She's definitely dusty, and I spilled Pepsi off my thing from it. But yeah, she's got 337, so I put 300 and almost 50 hours on this girl. And she's a trucker. She's a mover. But I definitely got to do some repair work on her. I've had her a couple years, and when I got her, she was already rusting. So I changed out this gasket all the way around. And then I got to change the seal on this guy all up and around. But, so what I'm going to show you today is how to change the oil on it, hopefully. Turn this guy off. See if this guy is. Oh, she is. She's hand tight. Sweet. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna drop the oil pan. Drop the oil out of this guy up here. So I'm gonna fill that later. So this thing's got this cool little oil fill point right here. See, now she's just draining kind of normal. She's got a clear place to bring the air through. So she's not like when you're using a quart of oil and she's gupping like that, because she doesn't have a vent path. But now she does. She's venting from this point right there, and then this point right here. So I'm gonna let her drain for a bit, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that oil filter off. So she's kind of dripping now, so what I'm gonna do is take the oil filter off now. We're just gonna pull this dipstick out so it's not in the way and I don't damage it. Put it over here. I always like putting something on the end there just to make sure that nothing gets in there. So now we're gonna slowly rotate this guy off. Go slow because if you can see in there, it's inside the drip pan. It's just dripping right in that drip pan. I don't know if you can see in there. It's kind of dark in there. Yeah, it's dripping right in that drip pan, which then is going down here. So if you can see that little tube, it's just dripping right out of that little tube. It's the coolest little thing ever. Because usually it just makes a mess everywhere when you're pulling the oil filter off. So what I do is kind of back it out a little bit, let it drain some. It doesn't look like much coming out, so I back it off some more. Now I just kind of let it drip in there for a second because I don't want it all over the engine bay of this thing. Yeah, she's coming out good. Look at that. Steady stream out of there. Steady stream. Nice. So I want to see. Because I don't want to make a big mess when I'm pulling this thing out. Because it's pretty, it's not a tight fit in there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to verify the seal's on there. Because you don't want to put another oil filter on there with the seal still on there. You'll have a mess everywhere. So now what I'm looking for, just kind of verify it's the same type, even though I know it's a 21334. I mean 21334, and that one's a 21334. Both the same. Pro Select. I buy these from Napa, like $6 a pop. It's not expensive at all. And what I use is I use some 15W40 diesel motor oil. It's the same stuff I use in my truck. I have a Ford 6-liter that I kind of upgraded a little bit so she could tow this big boy around when I go off and help my friends out. Just take a little bit of this on there. I clean, put it on the oil, on the seal. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this all off inside of here. Using rags like this, make sure you don't leave any like extra particulates in there, but definitely check the seating surface of it. Make sure she's all nice and clear and no major burrs or nicks or anything like that. And then always kind of clean that drip pan a little bit, because it depends on if you're level or not sitting here. If it's going to actually drain down or just sit there. And that's probably about good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the oil filter on there. Just get on there, make sure that rag you put in there for the dipstick isn't in the way. Again, everybody has their own way of doing this. This is just my opinion. Couldn't find any good videos out there for this thing, so I'm making my own. So hopefully somebody else has one of these. You guys can take a look at this and go, hey, I do it this way. Here's a manual for it. Whatever. Trying to help me out. Kind of grab a rag on there or shop towel. Make sure she's nice and tight. As tight as you can get her. Usually I got my brother to do this kind of stuff because my hands don't get tight anymore. They don't. But you don't want to dent it. You don't want to put a tool on there and dent the oil filter. That'll mess it up and it won't work right. So don't use a tool. All right. Now what we're gonna do, just gonna put this guy back on there to keep some particulates from getting in there. Now what we're gonna do, since she's been draining good long enough, we're gonna put the oil plug back on. You don't want to tighten it too tight, you'll strip it out. So what I do is I tighten it up pretty good, and then I come back down here later after I fill her up. Well, I put some oil in, I don't fill her up. I put a few quarts in there, see if she's leaking. And if she's leaking, then what I gotta do is tighten her up a little bit more. But she shouldn't leak. So what you gotta do is kind of put it in there. Bring this guy up a little bit. She's diesel, I put 1540 in her. So we put about 5 quarts in there. Hopefully you can see that. So I'm gonna put a little bit more in there, and then I'm gonna turn her on. Let her run for a little bit, let the oil settle in the engine and the drain pan, and then I'm gonna check her out again. I've reconnected. Well, put the filter back on. I'm gonna put that cap back on, and then I've already put the drain plug back on. So you gotta make sure those are on before you start this puppy back up, or you could have oil everywhere. So, all right, so that's where it's at right now. Not as clean as I would like. Obviously I need to run some stuff through there. I don't really like doing that, but I'm gonna start her up now, let her run for a little bit, and then what I'm gonna do is check her and see where she's at. And I checked the level of the machine. She's pretty good. So the machine has a little built-in leveling guy in her. Hopefully you can see that. So she's a little bit on tilt, up and down, but sideways she's pretty dead on. So like I said, I'm a runner. Now I can always give her a little filler up later. Alright, like I said, got the filter on, got the oil cap installed, I got this pushed down, the checker, and then my plug's installed. Yeah, she's still dripping out of there because that's a drip pan, but she's not dripping out of the oil plug drain. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start her up. shut her down and check the oil. Turn her off. I'm gonna check that oil again, because it says it should take about 8.6 liters, and did the conversion. It's about 9 quarts of oil. A lot of oil in this little guy. It's only a little 4-cylinder, but she is a diesel. See, we're a little bit low there, you can tell. So each one of these things holds 5 quarts. I've already put one in. This is the empty one. Here's the other one. So I still got to go down to about here, right about here. So that'll be 4 quarts. This thing, like I said, 5 quarts. So I need to come down to about right here-ish, but I'm not gonna go all the way down there. I'm probably gonna go about 2 quarts. Run there and check her. I don't want to overfill her if there's any oil left in it. Alrighty guys, I filled it back up. So empty one, I got about, I don't know, almost halfway, not quite halfway. I'm gonna run her some more, check the oil, and that'll be it. I did cut this down. It was choking off the oil too much. It took way too long, so I just cut her off, and I'll probably be using that for that. I know you use that for trannies, but it's the easiest one to get there. Even if you take off the air filter assembly, you still can't get a big one in there because, well, the big one I got, you can't get it in there because of the angle of it. You won't be able to put oil in. You'll have a bunch of residual oil that you have to clean up later. So that's the way I got that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start her up after I put everything back the way it was, and then we'll check the oil. All right, like before, I got everything put back in. Still not dripping from the drain plug. So we're gonna start her up, and then I'm gonna check the oil in a minute. So don't overfill your oil, just like you don't want to overfill your transmission. Just don't do it. I'd rather be a little bit under than over. Yeah, so I'm gonna tighten everything back up, and that's about it. So if you want to know, again, that was the 21334, and I'm also going to put some diagrams and some figures on this video for what Hitachi is calling out for it. And they're also saying, like I said, 8.6 liters of oil, which is about 9 quarts of oil. And then I'll also put on there some, like I said, some figures and diagrams. Hopefully it helps you out. Thanks for watching, and you guys have a great rest of your summer. And if you want me to do something else on this, or you want me to look for part numbers for one of the other type of filters or anything like that, let me know. There will be more videos coming about this excavator, the ZX40UR. I do have to do some other filter changes and greasing some stuff up, so let me know. All right, you guys have a good one. Bye.